I almost end the stream. I, I almost pressed the wrong button. Anyway, what's up? How are we? Does this, yeah, this works. It seems. Yeah, everything here, like, being honest, I am already. I can say it. I think I can say it. Can I say it? Yeah, I can. Basically, uh, things are over. Life sky is over, I guess. I don't know. No, I'm speaking out. We, I, I don't have any more classes, so yeah. Sorry. We are already in break, so yeah. That means that here becomes more of a habitual place to some degree, to some other. What I have also said before. It doesn't mean that it is just what's going to happen. Everything else to also probably happen. So yeah, try to see if something can get written. Now is the time. More than ever now. We have to look out for that is. But yeah, anyways. Here we are. The point is here we are. Good evening. Welcome after after such a long time here we are. So yeah, that's good I guess. And I don't know. I asked some things are well. It has been quite some degree being here, despite what I might say at any other time. Yeah, it's like always an opportunity to just go on whatever. It's the entertaining principle of yeah. By default, we're not truly obliged to mention anything in a bad way. It's more freedom to just be in in a certain way. And that's satisfying. That's something useful, let's say. And that's I don't know. I guess very much like what I used to mention here in other occasions. Yeah, it's useful. It's nice to not be so bounded to just one thing. I will say. I think I hope to say that I find it very sad to see how much we end up limiting ourselves in other areas. I think the plurality of things that could always be explored with others, the things that we can talk about. This idea of yeah, there is a list of things that we can mention, and there is another bigger list of things that we don't have any right to mention. We don't need or we shall not see them as a possibility. We will rather just stay in the basic form of yeah. It's quite tiresome, quite dangerous to mention any of those things. So it might as well just be a good option or the good option to just go for something simpler. Go for what is inside of that other list, what works. And the other thing, we can leave it behind. Not have to deal with knowing that we abandoned it. We just see it as something close to positive. Not really, but at least we had to have something. So that's sort of better, supposedly. Who knows? Anyway, the point is, here we are. And that's enough, I guess. I I can say that is in many ways more than enough. I don't know. I think I have been this past week. It has been so far pretty calm. It's it's that possibility offered by knowing that things are slowly calming down. I guess of also getting to calm down oneself. It's life. Those times in which everything is more intense. Let's say doesn't happen. We we don't get to enjoy something simpler. But on the other hand, if we do get to see the world as a less intrinsic thing or something in which we don't need to be so involved, let's say, that's enough. That feels enough, let's say, and that allows for more relaxation. Also, yeah. Evening, Christian. I hope you're well. Have a very good evening. Welcome, I guess. But yeah, but basically that. And that same thing happens here. It's sometimes it feels useful to just pursue so much stuff, and now it's just the relaxation of the understanding things, I guess. That's how we can describe it. Cleaning is mind cleansing? Yeah. Very much. I mean, there is something about how, to some degree, your house reflects your mind, and how allowing yourself to clean your habitat in a more basic sense is such a useful thing for everything else of your life. But even without all of that theory, yeah, cleaning, house cleaning is useful. It's, I don't know. Maybe I am too dramatic, but to a certain degree, I think it's, I don't know. Having a house is very good, very great. Sometimes we forget that we have such a nice thing. Not the more basic idea of, wow, yeah. This is a privilege. We are all no. It's not about that. It's just, yeah. Sometimes we just stop seeing what is good, and everything else becomes more noticeable. Instead, allowing ourselves to go back into this basic level of, yeah. Life, my house is nice, it's useful. But yeah, good work, I guess. That's what I wanted to say. And yeah, I don't know. I was saying, so far today feels like one of those very calm days after, I wouldn't say the storm. There was no storm here. Nothing really happened here particularly, so I don't know. I guess the biggest thing was a change, yeah, but a positive one of, we had been here for long enough in terms of properly returning and whatnot. So that's useful. That's good. That's wonderful. But it's not something bad. It's not something that left a negative aftermath. That sense. It's just slowly getting more comfortable within the new boundaries, I guess, or the new expectations. Will that be the word? The new set of rules of being, I guess. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I feel like it's very useful. I don't know. I personally, obviously, have been thinking a lot, and I believe it's better in this direction rather than what was before. I probably I could say it. I could repeat it every single day that we are here. I don't have that particular obligation. Yeah, it's pretty nice to be capable of expressing things in this way. It's I don't know. I think sometimes we forget how some actions that we do might bring different types of benefit into our lives, and this one, at least for me, at the very least, gets to be in that list of highly beneficial ones. It's it's very calming. It's very I don't know. It's more than anything else. Always is that idea of yeah, getting to say something and hearing what I have to say instead of just letting it stay inside and accept it in the way it was without ever properly seeing what I was thinking. Yeah, in that sense it's good, but I don't know. I think I remember I sort of mentioned that yesterday. Yeah, I finally feel a little bit moved. That I have personally at least moved a little bit beyond that initial barrier of yeah. To some degree, there is a very big situation with psychoanalysis. Sadly, everything could be boiled down to such activities and rationalizations and justifying ways of being, just from the perspective of the individual. But the reality is, there are also those higher levels of concepts, not that just because they are systems of concepts contained within themselves, not the philosophical answer, but rather the real answer of in reality there are other things that might seem more valuable than just yeah. Am I right or am I wrong? There are some things that might be worth or not, and it's within that list of things that it feels like the different set of solutions, different set of possible things to look at seems to lie in, and that's good also. That's, if nothing else, very helpful to at least be capable of seeing. After that, everything else also comes. I guess it's just the initial step in the right direction, I would say. But I don't know. I think I lost otherwise. That's what something I like to say. I think about the stuff. Unavoidably I was thinking about something. Everybody is thinking about things. Life is not without thinking. We might be capable of avoiding the realization of what we are thinking about. How did we spend so much time doing something? Certain cases, but that's still an action made by thinking to some degree. It's not something that just happens to happen. It's not life as a blackout with tiny points of lucidity. It's more like, yeah. everything has a cause, so to speak, and I might not be willing to do the work to see where is the root of things, but at least I can see that it is in that way. That's something, I guess. But yeah, it's also that's what I wanted to say. I don't know. It's also mm, in a sort of similar, distant comparison, somewhat related to this idea of yeah, and this. I wouldn't say subtly. It's just and also we had to have this thing of and we have these other things that exist out there, so to speak, and we get to see a whole other world of stuff that exists, and sometimes it's good to not just, I guess, live it slowly, day by day, let's say. It's good to have that calmness. On one hand, it's useful, but on the other one, it's also the same thing of yeah. And sometimes we can deal with the weight of whole future ahead. It's things can be properly done. I will say it like this. Suddenly, what I find myself facing most of the time is it's not, oh yeah, unalterable laws of existence. It's more like unobserved mantras of societies, I guess, but not really something completely true. It's just something that gets repeated long enough, and then at this point, I can say, yeah, we have a lot of more chances to just enter in this. We can use the philosophical word of dialectic relationship in which two things interact with one another, are in discussion with one another, are somewhat related to one another. But the reality is just we can have this sort of active, not just observation. It's more like assessment of the thing, while also the options that are also available out there assess us, so to speak. It's yeah, maybe we can spend some years just endlessly working to win enough money. Maybe we the market sees in us something valuable enough that we see can be exploited, and that's a good enough justification for our actions. But it's not really an obligation. I don't know. I don't. What I have come so far to see is we are doing a very bad job at making clear distinctions in what is an obligation, what isn't. In that sense, what is unavoidable and what's not. And I think I said it last time, or not. Yeah. I didn't say it. I remember. I thought about it. I can say I like a more structured life, a more rigid life, but there is also this other whole more freeform type of living that gets to be, that gets to offer itself, so to speak, and that's also good. That's also something that I want. Not something that I just want. It's something that I can see has its own value besides just the prettyness of an already fully controlled life, fully structured life. And that's in a certain way more capable of allowing for everything else. We can have very simple lives, very organized things, but organization doesn't really bring identity. It's just a solution for this thinking, so to speak. We don't have to deal as much with the world. We can organize everything that pertains to us. So at least we don't have to be in such a direct relationship with anything else. At least that happens, but also we still have many other options, more things available, and it's I see it now just as a matter of, despite it being somewhat insulting, also at the end of the day, it's just choices, I guess. All the multiple things that we see. Yeah, sometimes I might not be willing to say, oh yeah, I did have a choice about these things. I could have been there. Maybe, because it waits, maybe I can slowly keep working over the old habits that I used to possess and move a little bit further in terms of, yeah, yeah. And now I can see, now I can be honest about things. Now I can be in that same line of honesty. I can be capable of handling, seeing so many things existing. The world is not as empty. I can tell myself that it is empty, so that I don't have to feel so bad if I ignore the world, let's say. But that's sort of, I guess, the blessing of those. On one hand, yeah, tiny baby steps towards the universe. It sounds complicated, but it's a good image of, yeah, in the face of everything that has this reality to offer. Yeah, you can slowly just approach it more and more. And it's a process that can be survived, I will say. I don't know. I think nothing else. It's complicated. But yeah, I can say the least I feel hopeful, I guess. Not. I will still not properly say, or not just stay in the hopefulness description. I don't know. I will say hopeful in other more contexts, more openly, or more with more certainty of using it. In this case, I see it as something different. It's just a good enough degree of realization that yeah, it can be that way. It's just something that becomes evident once we deal enough with the world, I guess. And that's, if nothing else, that's certainly good. That's certainly useful. That adds a lot of flavor to being, I guess. Feel like, and I don't know, life has, life gets to have many flavors always, but what I can say is, at least we get to choose. We always got to, but it's to some degree it's the process of yeah, yeah. I always cool to choose what feels the nicest to me. Oh, and that sort of choice is productive. Just productive. That's the word. That sort of choice is comforting. Is not because we stay within the limits of oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We're going to just do they have said before, stay in the same cycle of things. No, no, no. It's more along the lines of I am going to just try and experience. It's one thing that I want, and maybe that's enough. That's satisfying enough, and that's it. Even if it takes time, even if it requires energy, commitment, some sort of investment, it pays. Things pay back, I guess. Yeah, it's just doing enough also. But that's, I guess, another part of the formula, doing enough to feel like there is enough payback from everything. I don't know. It's it's this also, I guess, this process of slowly getting to move farther and farther away in what is existing that allows us allows one to not just have a very compressed list of things that we must do. It's slowly the list of responsibilities feels nice. Not that it is something nice by itself, but rather once we get to pick up, yeah, what we want to be responsible for, at that point it becomes useful because that list is more than enough. It's I have been still struggling a lot lately. I, I have said it. I don't think the word is spiritually rewarding, but yeah, it's a sort of reward of happiness, something that brings happiness in some way. That I feel is, I guess, necessary. So, good evening, Flower. I hope you're well. Welcome. Yeah, I don't know. I think just that list, in this case, that list of responsibilities is good enough. Or not, yeah. Main, main thing, not good enough just because there is nothing else to add. It's good because it gets always to become even better. Let's say, let's say it like that. Something that always gets to be expanded on, as long as. Oh, oh, I mean, from a personal perspective, I can say it with a little bit more of trust. But yeah, I I, I get to enjoy that list of responsibilities. If I don't self-defeat so much, I don't have such a need for attitudes that might as well rob me of the possibility of enjoying being responsible, and that sort of responsibility with the world is what makes it even more enjoyable. Because it's, I don't know, I, I don't think it is something bad. At least we have enough offer us throughout life to disconnect from reality in different ways, but I don't see it as a useful choice to just stay always disconnected or anything like that. We can be that sense. Yeah, it might be demanding or it might be, I don't know, overwhelming to say, yeah, we can have responsibilities, we can have those sort of things always, but I don't know. Are we truly that incapable of surviving them? It goes back to what I said before, yeah. I have heard it enough times. I have heard, oh, yeah, no. The psyche is something very fragile. You shouldn't be playing so much with what is related to your own mind. Pressure. Every single human being breaks under enough pressure. I mean, supposedly, yeah, but isn't it sort of a bad faith interpretation to make that, yeah, the current world only has unexpected pressure? Getting to do things. This whole idea of I take on challenges that I want to in life. That's not a negative type of pressure. It's the joy of knowing that something requires effort, It's I don't know. I always maybe it's not the best example, but I always think about it in terms of yeah, this meme of holy fucking god, it's the game is hard. Life is fucking hard. Oh my god. And it's on one hand, you can take it as shit. It's terribly hard. Or in the other one, it's that's the reality. Life can be very complicated, but it can still be survived, and that's enough. That's a lot better than just staying in this other code of yeah. Maybe I needed to treat myself with such attention to make sure that I don't break in the face of the tiniest struggle. I don't know. I think it can be very much traced back to this idea, at least personally, of yeah, but what's related to softness and toughness, whatnot. Maybe, I mean, I can't say it. Maybe it's to some degree related to masculinity, I guess, subtly, but I don't think it's just based on that. It's more along the lines of life allows for things, you know. Life allows for complications. Sometimes it's not so useful to believe that, yeah, we are going to have problems, and that's the end. We need to live life to the best of our capacities until we have problems. Then it's panic mode, and it's time to fix up everything as fast as possible to just go back into this cycle of we do good until something from outside forces us to not to do good anymore. No, things can always be good. I mean, I don't know. I think to some degree to some degree everything that I say sounds crazy, but this one also sounds a little bit crazy, or a little bit more crazy than the rest of. Yeah, yeah. You know, sometimes bad things happen also. They don't seem. They don't need to look as bad. Really. There is not such a need for desperation, I guess. This, I would obviously say, not this idea of what was it? Most men live lives of silent desperation. Not really. It's just sometimes, at least from a personal perspective, I can accept. Yeah, I might have used too much to just stay in a bubble of, yeah, things are not going the way I personally want them to. So now, existence as I used to know it isn't anymore good. Now I have to complain about it. And if I don't complain outwardly, I will always be continuously dealing with the remorse of this changed experienced. And that's when it becomes that sort of silent desperation. But I don't know. It's not conformism. I also don't like it. I fucking hate conformism. Also, good evening, Shin. I hope you're well. Welcome. It's it's more along the lines of just I don't know. Life is how to say it. There isn't so much that we require. I don't know, man. I feel bad to some degree, and I have to say stuff of that sort. I mean, there are many pleasures that I probably would not be willing to give up. I guess very much probably personally, but it doesn't mean that they are not truly justified to exist. I guess I don't know. And there we go. So it, it does exist, but does it actually matter in that sense? What are you on about? I don't know. Good question. What am I on about? Uh, life. What? Quick rundown. I have been speaking for like I don't know. How long have I been here for already? 5 minutes? 5 seconds? No, like 40. Anyways, uh, I guess talking. that's just chatting. That's what I'm on about. I guess I don't know. Complete formless explanation of things, connecting stuff together. I guess. And in this case, what was I on about actually? Just accepting, I guess, that sometimes, at least personally, we can always play. We can always say playfully this idea of from from a personal perspective. No, not really. I can see it more from other people, but we don't need to do that. We can just stay in the level. Yeah, personally, I am happy once I once I see why things are the way they are, and I don't struggle to change them so much. You know, give me a hope, those. A hope. A hope for what? 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 What kind of hope do you want? There is hope to be had about everything. There is not enough things that we have discovered about the whole world. That's hopeful in terms of everything could be potentially wonderful. Let's say it like this. Right now, we are in an era. Oh, yeah. Those who can have those eyes to see the wonders that could be in the world might find treasures hidden within everything. Let's say. I'm going to boink? What the fuck are you talking? Ah, yeah, boil. Boink? No. What the fuck does boink mean? Anyway, that's hopeful, I guess. I don't know. That things get to look nice. As long as we try to care for it, I guess. That's the issue. Caring about the stuff. Being capable of caring about the stuff, actually. Instead of just saying that we'll. And thank it. Thank you. Thank you very much. You can. After you're finished. Yeah. You can take a peek, I guess. I don't know, man. If you do it, you can take a peek and upload it to your Twitter and pin it or I don't know. What do you want me to say? Do you want me to get angry? I don't know, man. But yeah, that's that's what I can say. I'll go, I guess. I don't know. Uh, no. I also have one generic line to say. What was it? Everything else shall be lost, but not hope, or something like that. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, also completely unrelated. But what the fuck was that noise anyway? I think it didn't get picked up. Anyway, the the average people. Wow, at this hour of the night with this cold. Uh, anyway, what, whatever. Sorry for getting distracted. Um, I was trying to say something. I was trying to go back to what I was saying of. Yeah. Just accepting things, I guess. Accepting that sometimes it's not as complicated in a certain way. It's not as bad. It's not as unenjoyable. What we have, it's not as tormenting as we can make it look like. There are many things that I do feel like. If I ignore things around me, I can feel like everything is just hard to some degree. Everything becomes burdensome, let's say. But just that continuous process of framing things as what they should mean. I mean, to some degree, I can say it. That stage of thinking out the stuff that, yeah, I can forget about what I already know. I can forget about what I have already seen, what I have supposedly understood, but I don't know, man. It's not as well sometimes. Most of the time, not just sometimes. Just that unwillingness, I guess, to ever begin with the show. Let's say like this: if out of nowhere I find that things don't feel as nice anymore, it's easier to just let them accumulate, and maybe when it reaches a critical point, I will need to once again look back at what seems to be my life. Everything needs to lose its actual meaning for me to be willing to properly shape it, signify it into what it was, into what it does actually mean for me. And at that point, it is not something easy, but it's a very open possibility. Something that I can either try to do or just ignore. Who knows? I feel like most of the time, I don't know. I haven't okay. I have to accept it. I have been struggling quite a lot with this one idea. I don't know if truly it's proper to say, yeah, anybody who is willing enough can achieve it. There can be some failures in the process of trying to make things make sense, trying to get any sort of breakthrough stuff is still dangerous, but on the other hand, even if things go bad, even if because I decided to not give up on living, ended up falling into bad behaviors. It doesn't mean that that's it, that my life has been condemned to be that way. It's too reductionist from there to say that. Or to say it from that perspective, I feel like. Life is open to things. And that's enough. If anything, that's enough. But yeah, I don't know, man. Just, I think at this point, I can say it. I think it's not so much a desire for answers, it's more a desire for the capacity to recognize that the answers sort of have always been there. And maybe sometimes I don't want to really see the answer to the questions of life, I guess, but it doesn't mean that everything is as ununderstandable, impossible to get as before. That's sort of also it's to make. But anyway, let me stop the music because it has been like 15 minutes already. This is I am starting to actually lose it. Shut up. It's the music. Okay, there it is. Thank you. Dear God. Anyways. Anyway, thank you, Shane, for the rain. Was very good. But certainly it lasted more than what it needed to. Yes. Also, I will do things better now. So rank. Okay, anyway, continuing. Different idea. I think sometimes. let me start with this. Before anything. I, sometimes I hear about it in a way in which it does seem to make sense. This idea of yeah, we we do not seem to actually have proper things. Let's say we only have a very basic stuff in most ways, and it's it's this definition of yeah, life is very much simpler than what we can sometimes explain. It's the process of explaining things that makes it more complicated, but life itself is actually quite a lot more natural than what we get out of describing the things that we do, the things that we participate in, that are out of those parts of our, our own existence are not as verbose as we can make them sound. That's I guess something that I can't even think about. It's the issue of language in terms of yeah. I cannot by words describe things. The more I try to use words, the more I start to move farther and farther away from things in a certain way. And I don't know. It's not that we don't have anything good at all. It's just it's this sort of interest in accepting things without ever thinking about them. I am not proposing that it needs to be done, but it's more along the lines of yeah. If I have a sin, what I don't need to actually be constantly asking, let's say, after every single step or after a dozen of those, once I interrogate myself with the question of, okay, who am I? What am I? What am I going? What am I doing? What's the point? What's la. All of those things that are referred to the self, and I don't know. I think it's. I mean, I have been, I have been gracefully avoiding it, but very much the issue I can see it is what I said before. This whole idea of not substance, but rather identity that seems to be so important in present times, and it's not something that does not make sense. It's if everyone is interested in that, in the other option, then I would rather also focus on what everyone else likes or what everyone else seems to agree that matters. Sometimes working a lot might not pay off, and I don't think it's. I don't think people actually want to spend decades of their life doing things that didn't pay off in the end. So yeah, it's it's complicated to some degree, but to some other I don't know. It's as always it's everything comprising what I talk about. It's also yeah choosing something that we actually want is pretty much in alignment with that same thing. I mean, many avenues of life can lead to nothingness. Many things that are important, if they are done incorrectly by the wrong sort of people through this wrong lengths of action, with the wrong motivations, can lead to bad results, even if they are the nicest things. This saying of the path to hell is paved with good intentions or with good actions. It's very much the same thing of, yeah, it doesn't actually matter that I am doing what we can all agree on is already liked or not. What matters is truly the what am I actually aiming for? What are we actually trying to aim for? That's sort of complicated. I don't know. I don't look around and feel like I see that many people really focused on things, but also it's still understandable. I did I did not so long ago mention that idea of yeah, to some degree, even if it sounds somewhat ridiculous, yeah, all of us struggle with things. All of us are to some degree just those very same kids that we used to be years ago. That we are not completely different. It's not this heap of Theseus problem. It's more along the lines of yeah, just we keep on building on that, but the basis is still the same. And sometimes we forget about that, and then stuff like satisfaction becomes more complicated, I feel like, or more convoluted. Rather. That's also very much in line with what I was talking about, for example, of we don't actually need that many things sometimes to be satisfied, to be comforted, not out of conformism, but comfort is quite easy to access to if things are done properly. I don't know. It's this idea of sometimes just Seeing things can be comforting. Content? Content? Haha, wait. Wait. Happiness. Content? Contentment. Contentment and content. I hate English. Why do you not use that word? I mean as being content. Yeah. No, but being the semantics is content equals the quality of what is it? Of settling down with things and contempt. That's no. Contempt. I have to actually attempt to mention things. That's the one that you just settle down. Content as in contentment and happiness and whatnot. That's the other one, I guess. But yeah, those things, which are very much contentment. Yeah. Will I have to search? I might be using the wrong terms. Perhaps. Perhaps I have been talking for the last, I don't know, 15 minutes about things that I assumed meant something, which they don't. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe I should look it up. Give me like half a second. Uh, content. Yeah, contentment. That one is the one related to joy and contempt. What the fuck? Rebelliousness? No, what are you talking about? That's how? Okay, yeah. Uh, aversion. More similar to aversion. Contempt. Holy, holy God. Why do I have to not? Why can't I use easier to pronounce words to refer to ideas? Anyway, it happens. Tomato? What are you doing? Is that signifying you throwing tomatoes at me? Fucking. Ah! I hate you. No, sorry, sorry, sorry. We don't show with those things here. Sorry. I can I say something for 1 second? It has been so funny lately. This guy who I have met, he talks about what is it? He says, "Oh yeah, today we are dueling some stuff." I don't know, man. I think I don't want to be disrespectful, but uh, that that isn't really that much important, man. Anyway, it's that. Yeah, the tomato. I sort of forgot to change it. Uh, don't self poison your mind into a spiral. What are you talking about? I am not doing anything bad. What? What do you mean? We are. I'm just saying things. Everything is good. We are even better than before. Don't worry. Don't worry. But anyway, you're doing well. Just go on. What? You're crazy. Anyway, yeah. Sorry. I shall. What's the expression? The show must go on. Uh, I will try to pay attention to how I pronounce things. Sorry. It's not something that's okay. 1 second of honesty. I have to accept. I don't actually put that much effort into pronouncing things properly. Yeah. Uh, I think I realized like 2 or 3 months ago, it's more related to how you place even, for example, the tongue in your mouth when you speak English. There is this whole phonetics idea of in some cultures and some languages, obviously, you used to place your tongue more towards the front or towards the back of your mouth. Okay, English is a lot easier to pronounce if you just move your tongue to the back of your mouth. But also that's not natural for me, brother. I don't speak like that, so sorry. But yeah, uh, all of this to say, it's it is my problem that I can't pronounce things properly like content and contempt. It's with proper enough enunciation, they are distinguishable from one another. Anyway, the point was that things I can be content. What I was saying like 20 minutes ago, I can be content with a lot more basic things than what I can think out. Some, in some cases, I guess, and that's enough. I feel like I don't know. It's that realization of sometimes I can I don't know. It's to some degree it's hard because it's also that realization itself of what does personally give me happiness, so to speak. Sometimes it's just a tiny conversation with someone. It's just those tiny checkups that I get to see, that I get to do with the people that I care about. It's those things that matter. And it's all of that combination of stuff that makes it better, more enjoyable. And get, I wouldn't say chase, but getting to at least see that they are always in the sea of possibilities out there, letting one just sort of reveal on the emotion that we get to have when living is useful. Also, the reason of English pronunciation is the same as English. What? What did he mean by that? Taking amalgam of words from faraway cultures. Yeah, I mean, I I I, I remember having to study about it before. It's like the Anglo-Saxon culture and the Viking culture or something like that, mostly. And obviously, English itself has like too many parts from too many languages. It is like the language itself with the most borrowed words from other languages. So yeah, it's a it's something, but anyway, at least it works. At least it's used. Unlike Esperanto, all of this stream was to just make fun of Esperanto. Now it came. Now I delivered the punchline. Now we end. Anyway. 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 It was all a very, very, very elaborate joke about Esperanto. Ah, but whatever. I was saying. And yeah, I don't know. Let's say it like this. Once I get to see more what brings that sort of joy, the things that I get to do that are somewhat more complicated become more. Not because, oh wow, yeah, the world it's overwhelming, but rather because just I can, if I am willing, I can continuously refill myself with that sort of emotionality that allows me to be in every other situation. And that is what makes the goal attainable in any other situation, let's say. I was gonna say useful, but rather that's very much insulting to a certain degree. Because it's just, yeah, things become more doable if I am not, at least from a personal perspective, I don't know, wow, great, great line, but yeah, if I am not feeling like utter garbage, I can do stuff, And in that same line, if I can let myself feel good, then yeah, things, e- e- everything else that might not be enjoyable itself when doing it becomes more doable. And it's just, I don't know, I, to some degree, I always think about just saying things in a different way, but it also robs them out to some degree of what's the proper point. Because it's if if we were to say, oh yeah, yeah, only when you feel like shit. Maybe I don't really want to say that I feel like shit. Maybe I don't want to say that I feel bad. I don't want to. Can I recognize that I feel bad? I don't know. Out of 365 years of what the fuck days of the year, can I recognize that I feel bad? I don't know. 150 of them? 170? 200 of them? If I have to deal with that realization, maybe I can't keep feeling that I have a good life. Maybe I can't keep up the idea that I have a good life. It's the language itself. It's not so useful. So sometimes we can use more broader terms. Does that actually make it better? Not really. The point is not, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The most universal expressions for things. That's also, I guess, the show of. Not, obviously, not trying to advocate for the overcomplication of language, but it's the tiny nuances that make it work. And understanding that sometimes, maybe if a term seems a little bit more hard, yeah, maybe, as what I was saying before, maybe instead of content and happiness and contempt and just grievance over stuff, I could have gone with more easily understandable terms. Easier to say once, but that's also part of doing things. Sometimes the best route is not the easy one. That's the same thing here. That's what makes it also wonderful to some degree. If I can recognize that despite all of that, it can work, that's it. That's enough. That's sufficient. Because there are other places which allow me to feel much more anything. And I, it's to some degree, a gateway, I guess, to detachment. I will say it. I will propose it like that. Maybe a sort of proper gateway to not being so heavily bent on. Yeah, yeah. I have these things which I can say. I I rely on to just feel satisfied and nothing else. But it's a rather, I don't know. I don't have an obligation to experience as much as before for the sake of happiness. I feel like, and I can also feel like it's good. I mean, I remember sort of hearing about it. That okay, let me connect like three different things. On one hand, this very main idea of silence is the sound of centrifugation, as in the sound of people growing in silence, and also to some degree, maturing is somewhat related to more measured feelings, but not because, oh yeah, less is better. Minimalism in sensation, in the mind, in less activity, but we can justify it as better because at least it's not as dangerous as something that could be louder, that could have more action, so to speak. No, it's just sometimes previous times were just an extravagant sort of overcomplicated way of being and modes of being themselves that just I will always end up tired every single day. I don't get to the next day if in the previous one I didn't fall asleep basically every single day. Oh no, well, I have to fall asleep. Do I need to destroy myself in order to achieve the goal of sleeping? No, not really. Not also I don't need to wait for being on the brink of passing out from a lack of sleep. But I can it's the freedom of choice. Sometimes in younger times, let's say, it feels better to just rush for the only exaggerated option that we get to have at hand. And once freedom becomes more available, we get to understand why simpler choices are taken. Not in most, but in some cases, I guess. That's enough. That's something that feels good enough to some degree. But yeah, I don't know. Also, I have to say it. I haven't. I think this in general this whole year I had been also personally on a sort of different line, not so distant. I have been fighting the most this one, I guess, with this whole idea of accepting that yeah, what I mentioned before, this unobserved, always existing ideas that we get to culturally have. I don't see too many failures because they are completely unattainable goals, but rather too many things that we have given up on because they seem to be somewhat complicated. That's what I find more around me. And I don't know. I don't want to say that it's just bad because, oh, yeah, it's the tomorrow we can change the whole world. Not to be delusional, not in that sense, but also, uh, I don't know, man. It also is not hopeless. I don't know. We have things that we like to call crises or crises in general, and are they truly so bad? I mean, they are not as enjoyable, yeah, but we still have time. Humanity is just starting out, so to speak, and there is still quite a lot of time to do things, to fix stuff more than anything else, and that's sort of enough. But I don't know. The point itself is just that, I guess. Trying to fight back against that desire to say, oh yeah, we cannot we cannot take this route of hope. We just have to settle down for something else. Going back to what I said before, contempt instead of contempt. But is hopeless really? Feeling such during a rush of emotions is counterproductive? Are you asking? I mean, I can give you something hopeless. I can we can play to try and experience a little bit of a crisis, but do we need that? Are we actually looking for that? Let's say. I mean, there are things that are hopeless, you know. There are other things that are already doomed. I mean, I don't know. Uh, to begin with, any kind of missed opportunity is already something hopeless. But it, the, I guess the point is not exactly what is hopeless. There are things that can fall under that category of yeah, things that could have been better to some degree. Do not get to have any change whatsoever nowadays. But the point is, what I see myself is the common discourse is just I don't really feel like doing something. I can't really say it. So I will rather say it's hopeless to try and change the world, you know. It's just an illusion of the younger people to try and make the world a better place. Only infants believe that tomorrow we should try to have better societies or stuff of that sort. Not because it is a logical statement, but rather that sort of idea of what I said before. Things things become rationalizations without us realizing that we have them. The thing happens there. I can rationalize it as yeah. It's just useless to try and worry about. I don't know, man. I don't want to promise. Promises are complicated, but I believe I can say somewhat confidently, yeah, for based on what I see so far, it seems like the future is so much more full of things than what we used to believe. Let's say what I said before of hope. You want hope? Everything has hope in it. Everything has potential. Potential is hidden within every single thing that you can think about. The lack of awareness about the potential of the world is not an issue of the world itself. It's just an issue of the observer of the world, so to speak. We don't truly need it for the potential to exist, so to speak. Infinite things have infinite potential. And what matters is trying, or even more, being capable of materializing, expressing the potential into something else that gets to be made onto reality, solidified onto reality, brought forward to what we see, not just a dream, so to speak, of things, but rather a reality of things. And that's, I guess, also that's also sort of a good answer to what is hopeless. Everything else also is hopeless to some degree. If anything can carry hope, it also has the issue of and all the other potentials that don't get to be don't need to be seen as hopeless failures, but they can be processed to some degree like that. Once again, it goes back to the optics that we want to choose or not. We can stay bent on, oh yeah, I, I could have done this, I could have taken this path instead of this other in life. I will always regret that choice. I mean, it's not that we don't get to regret at all. Yeah, but it's the necessity for constantly reminding ourselves of a failure and never letting go of it. No, not for the sake of not committing the same mistake, but rather for the sake of just torturing oneself. That's the sort of action that brings counterproductiveness forward. But I don't know. I mean, that's, I will say, if anything, that's more along the lines of what's this idea of the psychopathology of the human. We do many things that we don't really realize that we do. The issue is not only having the honesty to see them, but also possessing enough care at all to decide to deepen even more the understanding that we possess about those things and why they exist. Not just that they exist, but also why, which purpose they are serving, so to speak. And I don't know. Things take time, I guess. Everything takes time, but at least from a personal perspective, I can say if I will, no matter which option I take, I will spend my time living. Why not rather make it have what's the end of existence? So to speak, I look back and I didn't have to deal with as much sorrow from all of the other things that are related to my own existence. This idea of my whole life in martyrdom for some sort of abstract and explainable cause. No, no, it doesn't need to be like that. It can be enjoyable. Can I allow it to be enjoyable? Good question. But it can be enjoyable. That's one of the promises that I can take. That I can feel like is worth hearing. It can be. Then it lays on my hands the possibility to make it happen, to make it enjoyable then. But I don't know. Once again, it's also this can, but you may not. I can, but I may not. Probably. Probably not. Who knows? But yeah, that's that's also what I was trying to say with. And sometimes, not only do I have to recognize it on me, there is the part in this whole discourse is I don't need to be so bent on my own laws or so ignorant about my own modes, so to speak. But once you start looking out there, it becomes a lot wilder, I guess. I feel like. The Roland's English language might not be using it at the right place. Can, but you may not. Ah, the grammatical. Yeah, but isn't it? It is a rule, isn't it? More along the lines of even if you can, you may not if there are other things that order you. So something along those lines. I don't know. There is a whole side of. I wasn't expecting to find myself having to understand so many grammatical propositions when reading about psychology, but yeah, there is also very much one of those similar to it. That's why I sort of understood it from that side. It's that idea of sometimes, even if you have a possibility, you don't really, if you don't truly want to act on it, you won't really get to experience the benefits of it, you know. So that's where I took it from, I guess. But yeah, anyway, don't worry. We meet at some point. Maybe not exactly in the same boundaries, but we we still get to meet at some point. But that's what matters of communication, I guess. But back to what I was mentioning, this idea of in in the lives of all the other people, it's a lot more not recognizing things is not complicated. if I can see things in myself, then seeing anything else in someone else becomes somewhat easier. The issue is either the will to see it or the interest to properly see stuff instead of just assuming what would benefit me the most and validate me the most. That's the issue always with all of these actions. And the honesty to sometimes recognize things that are also bad. I mean, we can. That's something that I sort of avoid, but we can spend talking about all of the things that I have heard about, for example, depression. That's something very hopeless. All of the different things that one does when they are close to that, all of the actions that we like to take when we are inclined to that sort of mentality, all of the behaviors that we can't avoid falling onto, and that is also related to honesty, not because they don't exist, but because we can see stuff that we might not be willing to actually see. Or I was trying to think about it the other day. I can see everything. I can't observe everything. I might not be willing to observe everything. That's what I was also trying to say. But it is still, even if it is complicated, it is still a work that can be performed. So that's more than fulfilling, I guess. At least I feel so personally. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, I know it might be like a bad thing to say, but I have also a question. How the fuck? How much have I been here for already? I haven't talking, and issue is I feel like I haven't been here for I don't know 10 minutes, but yeah, that's not at all the case. So ah, anyway, my God, my dear God, maybe it's just 10 minutes of content within the 1 hour and 40 of speaking, perhaps. But I don't know. I I can I can be satisfied with that instead of the lack of fucking words from the daily life. That tendency towards silence that we seem to like so much now, man. To be given the opportunity to speak and decide to remain silent. What a waste. That's another thing. There is nothing bad or worse. This idea, like, compared to a child who just doesn't express themselves in any way when they are in that age in which they start to have access to language and they just decide not to. That's dull because the normality is to say things. And growing up shouldn't also be about, oh yeah, yeah, time to shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear you. No, 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 no. Dear God, no. It's about, okay, Now you learn how to say things to make it feel good, not just for you, but also to allow the other to pick up the interest. It's this dynamic of the conversation that always exists of, okay, I can pose my sentences in a way in which they can work as an open invitation for you to take them. I don't need to just satisfy myself with what I say. But I don't know, that's I guess more complicated than what we actually talk about most of the time, so better to leave it there, I guess. I don't know. Not because it actually has nothing, but uh, this idea of just pointing at this stuff, you know? At some point, at some point in the future, we will get to talk about everything else more. But we're still in a time of little or few acceptance of the self in that way. I don't know yet, the expression was little acceptance, not few. But anyway, also, I haven't, I haven't tried to bring this up for like for the whole stream. Not actually, but also, it is something that I could always pick up. The issue is properly said. Um, I haven't lately, as in literally today, dealing with some very minor cramps and whatnot. I mean, every single day, I guess. I have been cramping up for, I don't know, for the last 5 years probably, but most of them are manageable. And I think something funny that I have learned with enough time is sometimes bad things can be very much de-escalated, so to speak. It's this concept of de-escalation. To begin with anything, confrontation of things, and after that resolution seems to be a lot more useful than what I used to picture before. It's like, wow, yeah, wonderful revelation. It's like once you decided to live life instead of just seeing what happens on it, life is more enjoyable. Wow, astounding. Who would have, who could have predicted that? Hmm, yeah, wow. But I don't know. It's the same thing as always. Of there are many lessons of that sort. I guess that one still has to integrate. I mean, it's always this supposed knowledge. I supposedly know about this stuff, or I later I haven't think about it. It's more along the lines of the wisdom of things. versus the pure knowledge of things, applying stuff instead of just being aware of it. That's that's compromising. Yes, what I can say, and then sometimes compromises in not heavy, but rather in that same line of fragile, dangerous. Maybe okay, with something not so fucking abstract. Uh, going back to what I was mentioning before. Yeah, cramps come from the lack of stretching. Compromises properly stretch every single day. Secondary compromise that comes with that is might as well also properly exercise. Compromise with that is also might as well also properly take seriously stuff like I don't know. You don't say have we lost we only have a diet available in English now. You can say feeding. I hate English. How did you lose control of that word? Anyway, uh, anyway, I guess English loss, but whatever. The point is, yeah, you also need to keep in check your diet, how you are consuming stuff. Hmm? The world is looking. What? World is looking? World is looking? Well, I wouldn't say so, but because the nature represents what the mind wants, because the words contain traps. I mean, yeah, I will say so, I will assume so, but assumptions are always made about everything, so it doesn't truly. Everything could be misinterpreted, but believing like that is also mostly overworrying. To some degree, you cannot really alter how anyone will assume things, you know? There is no need to overworry to that level. That's I guess the always mentioned thing of yeah, the final leap of faith. But what I was saying, compromises. There are always compromises, and the more we try to pick them up, the more we see everything else that we could also compromise on. And it's, I guess, also the issue of yeah, at least personally, I can say the issue of seeing all of the other things that one could be responsible with also existing. It's this idea of, to some degree, it's it's supposedly dangerous to be so responsible and to have so many things to deal and whatnot, but also there are so many things that are in that very same way interconnected. I mean, yeah, I need to do this, and because if I start to apply myself on this, I also can start to take some time to do be this other thing and to fulfill this other role and the blah blah blah. Does that need to actually happen? Probably not, but it can happen. And I don't know, remorse, I guess. That's the easiest answer in that sense. But remorse exists. Almost always, I guess. It exists, so it must happen, no? I mean, no, no, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. I don't know. It's, yeah, yeah. Good, 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 good point. The issue is, in many ways, what happens, it's still in the same line of I can just picture stuff mentally. Sometimes it's just another function of this anxiety, I guess, and over worrying about this stuff. I don't really need to. There is no real need to just lose oneself so much in this sea of possible things that we might bear on, but just noticing that they exist makes one feel like we could try to take them on. At that point, yeah, it becomes sort of unhealthy. Pareidolia? Maybe, maybe. I mean, a sort of, I will say, I literally had the term in my mind. I read Pareidolia and I forgot. I might be stupid. How can we help? How can we not help? But to humanize the existence around us? No, I mean, that's good. I don't think that's bad. But I'm speaking more than anything else about just actions and everything else that comes with. Oh, wow, yeah, yeah. I have to deal with. Example, what I was saying before. I have opportunities, and these opportunities bring even more opportunities forward. And sometimes an action is taken instead of any other opportunity because at the end of the day, just the imagined opportunities seem overwhelming. Maybe it's not like that. Maybe it is like that. It is even worse. Maybe, but it doesn't need to be like that particularly. It doesn't require so much thinking. It's that's the part of living also that matters. Not we don't live by just thinking. So it's also living by doing. Yes, living by being. Wow, what I was looking for so long. I have said it. Yeah. Also, welcome. Yeah, I just realized I didn't say welcome. My bad. Sorry. Welcome. Actually, good evening and good evening to me. My bad. My bad. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's good. Life is good. That is what I can say. That's that's enough. And I don't know. Also, on a, I guess on a completely different note. Um, no, no. I sort of mentioned that already. Not such a different note. Yeah, we are very much in times of change. Things are not as advanced as we used to think. I think, okay, once, okay, let me connect it like this. I already described before this idea of, or earlier, this idea of suddenly in childhood, what we believe is usually just expressing to the utmost of our capacity things and their being until we explode with being. Because we get overwhelmed by being that we just tire ourselves out. But the reality is we are not particularly obliged to do that exactly. We can take a route of psychological, please. Yeah. We can take a route of just sufficient satisfaction instead. Sufficient or measured enough to not be overwhelming in that sense. Overwhelming because it does happen, that sort of moments of joy that end up becoming even painful, to how much we can't contain it. That sort of thing is also very much related to what I was saying with all that is related to responsibilities. It's this, okay, dangerous statement, but it is the proper measured enough capacity to slowly take on challenges. Not that it doesn't mean that we might as well be incapable of taking on or changing the world with enough time, but it's also moving from the initial position of the inner children fantasy of, yeah, I shall make the whole world a better place. Slow acquisition, mm, proper acquisition. That's, I think, the value. Rushed, let's say it like this, rushed and harsh obtenance of things doesn't allow for a proper foundation to be set. That's at least anything that is worth obtaining. Not in the sense in which, oh yeah, yeah, you must make it last for as long as you can, overextending things. Yeah, 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 yeah. Proper is vague, but I mean, in anything itself, in general, that you want, things that you care about. That's what I'm talking about. That sort of thing is better obtained slowly because if not, you are not rooting things together. You're just smashing a new piece of information onto your brain and you will let it sort it out. And if it does, good job. If it doesn't, maybe you don't even ever realize because you moved on onto the next thing. It's more along the lines of this idea of craftsmanship, for example, of you are we are slowly the architects of our own minds. That's the importance of slow acquisition over things. In this same case, slow acquisition of responsibilities. Otherwise, it's just, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Today I will say that I can, I don't know, make everyone happy. Tomorrow I will move on and see that I might also make everyone, I don't know, have no more to deal with this one issue. I don't know. You can pick anything. World hanger, whatever. Did I even truly focus on the first one? No. I already moved onto something else. I am more delusional than anything. Time is limited, therefore long processes without higher guarantee are less valuable. Yeah, I mean, the dangerous idea to believe that things are guaranteed. That there is nothing guaranteed. I mean, that's that's what I was sort of alluding to before. Um, Not even existence is guaranteed to some degree. There is nothing that actually allows us to be completely sure that, yeah, we're going to survive until tomorrow. That those funny things, funny mishaps of life, of, yeah. And you know what? One day your card can take a bad beat. That's it. And you have a zero control over that. Actually, and that could be the end of it. I mean, it can happen. Do we need to worry about it? No, but it can happen. If it is for guaranteed, nothing is exactly guaranteed. But if at least you wanted to do things, why not make them worth it? And the issue is, oh wow, yeah, yeah. What is worth it? Good question. Whatever you define as worth it, man. I don't know. That's the blank that is left for you to fill. I can't. We're already in a dangerous uh, terrain most of the time. I can't define anything. It doesn't work like that. Big experiences, whatever brings those out, might be worth it. Yeah, yeah. Big. Yeah. What's worth it is it's good to pursue to some degree. But also, I mean, at that point also, this whole devolving onto, oh yeah, yeah, and then is it worth pursuing? Is it worth waiting for? Good question. Sometimes, sometimes, not not every answer is how there's another uh, try to be all that. Uh, Jumping off a cliff in a squirrel suit. It's big experience. It might be worth it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Is watching paint dry worth it? I don't know. Is there any value for you or not? That's what matters. Is having an office job worth it? Maybe not. Maybe what's justified is not the office job itself, is what comes after that. It's complicated in that sense, but also it's possible to answer. Even if it is complicated, it's something that observation of the thing itself allows to understand. Sometimes not everything seems to be as wonderful or useful or meaningful or blah 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 blah. First glance, but once again, properly encompassing things into the bigger picture, this idea of in hindsight, I understood the stuff. That's when it will make sense. I mean, okay, you could even answer that sort of question of why did it live so slowly? To some degree, you could even associate it just going fast with this idea of you might also be forgetting about the past too fast in that same process. You don't really get to have a future if you don't understand what happened before. Not because you can't make decisions, but rather because they are not truly informed by anything. And I don't know, it's always about living a life that at the end of it doesn't feel bad. We can all commit mistakes, but to some degree, how many of those are truly avoidable in that sense? There are many things that might feel bad, but we can also avoid them. I mean, I don't know, guidelines for existing and whatnot. Some are just more complicated than others because once again, they might be related to more and more things. You can understand the stuff like assuming, great assumption even, that we can understand all here stuff like, yeah, you should not harm yourself. Okay, physically, I assume. Can I harm myself mentally? Can I think out about that stuff? Can I treat myself harshly mentally? Is that not treating myself properly? Is that something that I should try to avoid? All of those things also require definition, and I don't know, man. Am I willing to do that process? Maybe not. But that's also what I guess matters. At least starting with those things. But yeah, I don't know. I think I have said like a lot of stuff. I feel like I have said quite a lot of things. That's what I can say so far. I feel like I I speak I spoke good. So yeah, good enough, not good enough. But yeah, also I went the whole stream without saying it, so now I can say it. I am tired. Thank you. I I wanted to say it. Thank you. Anyway, interrogation now. Raid Raid Doko. I think I don't even need to think about it. I think I have a target already. Is he streaming? Good question. I don't know. We have to see. But yeah. Um, well, I check. I guess yeah. Ah, what a nice thing it is to let things just happen, you know? To let things just be is useful, and to just be oneself is even better. But I don't know. Abstractions, even more abstractions that we're unwilling to recognize are complicated. So who knows? But whatever. Let me set this up, and after that, I will probably say goodbye. I don't know. Tell you this. As always, it has been a very wonderful day. What day are we in? Serious, today is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. So yeah, tomorrow supposedly we should have a stream. I assume. I don't know. I guess Friday we have Harata. Will that be fine? Probably. Perhaps. Uh, we have to see. Anyway, that's my issue. That's not something that we have to concern in general ourselves about. So yeah, tomorrow something. And yeah, as always, thanks. Sorry if I go too slow, if I go too fast. I don't know. Uh, I I I don't try to say things in, in ways that make it completely incomprehensible. So yeah, it's main issue is that. But yeah, anyways, as always, thanks. Thanks for everything, guys. I don't know. I I I created the race, so I have like 60 seconds to rapidly go over this. I think I haven't like streamed quite a lot. I find the idea of probably seeing things for things quite an attracting one, but at the same time, it always something that I personally think is something of an issue to be always saying thanks to some degree. The more you repeat the stuff, the more you degrade the value of things, the more normal is to see something, the less precious it is to see it. Scarcity increases value in man in some way, but also in the other hand, it still is something wonderful. So yeah, sorry for not saying thanks so much. It's I guess associated mostly with that. But yeah, thanks for everything. It has been a wonderful stream. And yeah, have a good day, have a good night, have a good life. Happy, be hydrated, drink, sleep, rest, be. Anyway, what are we doing? What that's the point. We're going to write for right? Who is playing something? I don't even know what. Sorry. Goodbye. Yeah, yeah. No, I have to raid. I have to raid? No, I don't have to raid. What the fuck are you talking about? I have to check. I mean, that's what I have to do. I have to check it. I have to close it. I don't have to check it.